everyone, it's Andy and Jenna here from A Couple Travelers coming to you from Juneau, Alaska. We are here for another excursion here on our Alaskan cruise aboard Ovation of the Seas.
We had a really spectacular morning this morning. We basically were in the Inside Passage. We sailed up to the Endicott Arm and Dawes Glacier. It was worth getting up at 5 a.m. for sure.
Yeah.
But now we just pulled into port.
Pulling into port, actually.
We are a mere feet from port. There's a little bit left to go for the dock. We're about to go on a really exciting excursion here in Juneau today, so just wanted to let you know the name of that in case you like what you see and want to book it yourself. So this is the Mendenhall Glacier Whale Watching and Wildlife Quest. It was $465.98, so $233 a person basically. But you're going to do a lot of awesome things today, like going whale watching. We should see a lot of wildlife that you can find here in Alaska. And then we have, I believe, 45 minutes at Mendenhall Glacier to check that out. And it should just be a really beautiful day, and hopefully we have time to explore more of the actual port when we get back.
And we have great weather here on our vacation. Very lucky. It's mid-60s today in Juneau, so
yep.
Let's go have some fun.
Closer than we were to the glacier this morning.
Yeah.
Freaking gorgeous.
Hello again. Ooh, that is very dark.
Oh.
Hold, please.
We're here.
We are here.
That was a dramatic fade in.
that was. If you saw our Skagway video, we were recording this right after that. And for similar reasons that we'll get into in a little bit. But
it was, sorry it's not more of a in-the-moment vlog. It was, we don't
it was a busy day.
It was a busy day. We don't want to like ruin other people's experience by like talking to each other on camera on the bus, and it was just like, it was a very go day, which those days are great.
Yeah.
But hard to vlog.
But that was Juneau. I'll stitch this together in a way that kind of shows you, our day overall. The interesting thing about our day yesterday was we got into port a little bit later. The way our day was structured was the first part of the day we got to go see Dawes Glacier in the Endicott Arm, which was amazing.
Stunning.
We entered the arm, which is like a passageway in the inside passage, about 5 a.m. And then we got to the glacier around 6 and we're there for an hour. And then from 7 to 1, we made the trek back up the inside passage to Juneau, where we docked at 1. And this was specific for our cruise. One thing I noticed a little bit later in the day, being a nerd and checking the ship maps, the Norwegian Encore, the Norwegian Bliss was already in Juneau when we arrived. They left while we were in port to kind of do the reverse. So I think the cruise lines like coordinate with the state as to like who gets to go in the arm at what time.
Because you can only fit one. There's no passing, like crossing.
Yeah.
It's
too narrow for two
ships.
Yeah. But that's how our day was structured. So we got to Juneau at 1 and did our, embarked on our excursion for whale watching and to go to
Mendenhall Glacier.
Mendenhall Glacier.
Already forgot. It's been one day.
I was gonna say Dawes Glacier, but I knew I already said that, so the name escaped me.
By the way, our day yesterday was a 19-and-a-half-hour day.
It was a long day, but a fun day.
For 19-and-a-half hours. It started waking up at 5 a.m. which was 100% worth it. It was actually one of my favorite parts of the whole trip, was sitting on our balcony in the inside passage, drinking hot chocolate with Baileys in it. And the night ended with a balloon drop to celebrate the announcement of Utopia of the Seas, which we can now book as of tomorrow.
Yeah.
And speaking of bookings...
tomorrow as of the time that we're recording this.
Yes.
You can already book it by the time this video is on YouTube.
And speaking of booking cruises, I am a travel agent and would love to help you plan your next Royal Caribbean vacation or vacation to Disney, Universal, Virgin Voyages... What else do I book? It's been a long day. Sandals and beaches resorts. So basically I have my specialties and love to book those, but it is completely free to book your trip through an agent. We're actually compensated through the vendors themselves, so it doesn't cost you anything extra, and you get all of our expert tips and advice. So if you're interested in more information or a free quote, my email address is listed in the video description below.
So before we get into the actual excursion, couple tips on the glacier was if you have your phones and cameras fully charged. I mean, no shortage of photo opportunities. For the Ovation of the Seas in particular, or the Quantum of the Seas for that matter, they're the same class of ship. The Solarium is a great option if it's going to be a little cooler. But
only for those 16 and older.
Correct.
Yeah.
There are other, areas of the ship where you can get the views, like the Windjammer has windows surrounding it, which is nice. If you have a balcony stateroom, just take the time to actually just put yourself somewhere and soak it all in.
My one thought on that though is, so our room is on the starboard side. Mm-hmm. So we had great view of the inside passage up until the glacier, but then the ship hung out for about 45 minutes, and then it turned to head back out. If you had only stayed on your balcony and you were on the starboard side, at least for our sailing, it turned this way, so your balcony never saw the glacier.
They're supposed to do a 360.
Well, it would have to be a 360 and then a half turn.
Right.
So whatever that math is. So if you were on the port side, you would have come in, had the turn, so you saw the glacier slowly, and then left. But we did is because we're on the starboard side, we hung on the balcony for most of the way in, went up, stood on the wings on either side of the Solarium, which is an outdoor spot, to watch the glacier. And then once it started heading back again, we eventually made our way back down to our balcony because that was such a lovely viewing spot. So as you saw from our previous 2 ports, in Ketchikan, everybody gets off the ship and then you meet your excursion team down in port. In Juneau, it was similar to Skagway, where you actually met your group on the ship. So for Juneau, we met in the Royal Theatre. Everyone was together, and we left the ship together in a group and were led up until the bus.
And once we got to the bus, we were met by our driver, who was basically responsible for bringing us from the port to Allen Marine, which is where we got on our boat for the whale watching part of the trip.
But we got to the ship, boat.
That's a boat.
That's a boat. This is a ship.
Yeah.
So we got to the boat, and then the actual whale watching portion was probably almost 3 hours, which was good because you actually have to, like, go quite a bit. I think it was, like, 45 minutes until we saw our first whale. So the first part, like, we got on board, we got some beers from the Alaska Brewing Company.
Ooh. Quick note on that. There is, like, a not full, but, like, a pretty sizable, like, bar downstairs. So they had some beer, they had some mixed drinks, and then some, like, prepared and packaged snacks. They had hot coffee. The person who was manning that actually made, like, a salmon dish for people at the end, which was complimentary.
Yeah, it was, like, on like a salmon spread on crackers and stuff. And they had donut holes at one point.
Yeah, so it was actually very nice. I went on kind of expecting just like a regular boat, and they had some concessions.
Yeah, no, that was great. And we saw quite a few whales. Of course, like, the best one that we saw was when we've just put our cameras away. But, you know, we saw tons of them, and then we even saw several dive down, so you get that whale tail shot.
Yeah.
We even saw sea lions.
Yep.
Oh, I saw otters.
Yep.
So we got to see a lot, and on the drive from port, we saw a ton of bald eagles.
Yes, which was so cool.
How wide did they say their wingspan gets? It was shocking.
I think it was from, and our guide up there was just like spitting out fact by fact by fact, and that was honestly one of my favorite parts of all of our excursions, was just like getting that knowledge from these Alaska coach tour drivers. Like, they just were really well trained and knowledgeable, but he said,
especially for people who
are in college for sometimes.
A lot of them come here just for the summer months, and they live somewhere else. Like, our other driver was from Maine. Just people from all over who just come and really love being here this time of year, and they've really soaked into the culture and shared so much, which was great.
So he mentioned that bald eagles have anywhere from a 6 to an 8.5 foot wingspan, which 8.5 feet was the size of the bus that we were on, which pretty crazy to think about that. There's over 100,000 of them in the state of Alaska alone. A couple other things. He also mentioned that beavers could be up to 150 pounds, which...
That's pretty terrifying.
Is, I mean... Oh, sorry,
we hear the captain making an announcement.
But a lot of great facts that we learned in Juneau, and on all of our excursions for that matter.
Yeah.
After the whale watching excursion, we did get handed off to another bus driver, who then brought us to Mendenhall Glacier. There's also a waterfall there called Nugget Falls, so you kind of have a choice of like going to see both or going to see one or the other. When you pull up, you get to see the glacier kind of like right in front of you, but there are some photo points if you want to go and get a closer look at that.
There's also a visitor center, and as well. And gift shop and all of that. Basically, we had 1 hour from when we were dropped off to when the bus was going to be leaving to head back to port. So we made a decision to just take some pictures in front of the glacier and then to do the hike to Nugget Falls, because it is a mile there and obviously a mile back.
Yeah.
So we did do that, and the thing to note, in case, if you're trying to prioritize or figure out which one you'd like to prioritize, is that when you're at Nugget Falls, which has a beautiful waterfall, you cannot see the glacier. So you are like getting closer to the glacier, but the way it is, you can't actually see the glacier from Nugget Falls. So you're hiking to a waterfall, just to be clear about that.
Yes.
Which is a beautiful, huge waterfall.
Yeah.
But it is also very, very crowded. Everybody wants a photo there. It's very hard to get no one in your photos. It is, I mean, it's a tiny little like thing of land.
Yeah.
And it is just packed. It is an easy walk though. Like it's relatively flat. There was
Yeah.
some people doing a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Somebody wheeled it.
It's a relatively easy walk in terms of like grade and surface and everything.
Just
so.
stressful when you're trying to do it quickly because you want to get there.
Right.
Enjoy being there to get back, hit the bathroom, take some more
Yeah.
photos in front of the glacier, and get on the bus.
So this kind of goes back to our overall like takeaway from the excursion was it was a lot to do in the time that we had. When you're on a boat, like you really are not rushing to do anything else because you can't go anywhere, right? The boat brings you back to shore. We weren't able to go to like in the time that we had, you know, you can only physically walk so fast, or we weren't running to go to the waterfall. So we had, thankfully, a few minutes when we got back to get some photos in front of the glacier by the visitor center. I think really where we were at this point in the day now was not a lot of time back in port, similar to Skagway, just to kind of like explore and
A little over an hour.
Yeah, they had a Alaska beer company or Alaska brewing company like tap house there, right by the port that we would have liked to check out. There's the Red Dog Saloon,
Yeah.
which is very famous that we would have liked to have checked out as well. But
We had also in our planning, like when we were like, oh, our bucket list things to do, the actual Alaska Brewing Company is in Juneau. It's about a 10-minute drive. We were debating if we did end up having enough time to take a lift over to go to the real brewery itself. That was definitely not going to be in the cards.
Yeah.
But they did have that tap house in port, and it's helpful to know the port is similar to Skagway, where there's a ton of shops, and it was right in front of where the ship is. So
Yeah.
even an hour, you could get a lot done in an hour. I saw people who were on our excursion who went to Tracy's Crab Shack and
Yeah.
had dinner before getting back on board.
similar to Ketchikan, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry. Yes. Similar to Ketchikan at the port was that all the shops of the port was right by the ship. Sorry.
Yeah. Another note for the port. So, I think I just saw a whale out there.
Oh.
Yep. Do you see that?
I did see that.
That wasn't a wave. That's a whale.
Yep. We saw the best one today when we were sitting in the sun.
Ooh.
Oh, blowhole! This is why you need a balcony, folks.
Yeah.
So many times we're just looking out and we catch something.
We're back.
Squirrel!
If we haven't said it already, I saw it again.
Oh,
If we haven't said it already, get a balcony on your Alaska cruise. It's totally worth it. The other thing to note for the port of Juneau is we did go to the Alaska Shirt Company,
I have
which
PTSD.
is like there it is
oh
again.
my god, it jumped!
Is it a whale or a dolphin or
It's a freaking dolphin.
Oh, it's multiple.
It's probably a family of dolphins.
Oh, that's so cool.
Oh my. I've never seen that before.
No. Anyways,
Alaska is amazing.
Alaska, and this isn't even Alaska anymore. This is just
We're in Canada.
This is the Pacific
technically.
Ocean.
So the T-shirt.
The Alaska Shirt Company, it has a lot there, depending on, like, we went within an hour of needing to be back on the ship, so a lot of other people were there, and it was just crazy.
But it does have affordable stuff. I mean, I saw people walking out of there with bags
Yeah.
of stuff.
So
So this is your place to get your T-shirts and magnets and salmon jerky and all the good stuff.
Overall, Juneau, like Ketchikan, has a lot of shops and local businesses at your fingertips directly off the ship, which is great. We just didn't have a lot of time to explore that, which was kind of unfortunate, which we would have liked to. So that kind of gets back to, our larger point was something to consider, on your Alaska excursion is maybe try to find a happy medium among your group or your party of, pick a shorter excursion that maybe allows you to do a little bit more port time if that's something that you want. But if you don't really care about the port, then you're probably okay to do an excursion with multiple components like we did. But overall, really great time in Juneau. The biggest and I guess most traditional American city that we saw out of Alaska.
Yeah. Well, it is the capital.
Yeah, it is a capital. They said they have the 50th most attractive state capitol building. It's not a typical dome that you'll find in like
Yeah.
our state of Rhode Island and Providence, but it's still a great town overall. But if you have any questions or other tips as it pertains to Juneau and cruise excursions, leave a comment down below and we can have a conversation about it.
And if you are interested in more Royal Caribbean content, we are sailing on the inaugural Icon of the Seas sailing in January of 2024. So if you want to first look at that brand new class of ship, make sure you subscribe.
But that is everything for today's video. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and follow us on social media at A Couple Travelers.
And until next time, keep traveling.